Hey guys, how's it going? Matt from Foul Ball Productions here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope that you're doing well. I'm doing better. I'm doing better, but I can't say that I'm doing phenomenally like I normally do. Like my normal intro, which I'm sorry, if you were looking forward to that intro and you didn't get it. That's I just don't have it. Hello, Snorter Poopus. Yes. Yeah. R.I.P. Charlie Kirk. It's funny, I have a lot to say about it, and now that I'm here to say it, I like I'm just like almost at a loss. As it's been almost a week. And I gotta be honest, man, this hit me very hard. This hit me very hard. What up, Mike? Hello, brother. Seeing you in about an hour. This whole thing, it hit me way harder than I really would have expected. If you told me like before it happened, how would you feel if Charlie Kirk got assassinated? I don't know. I don't know that I'd have an answer. I don't know that I would be like, oh, it's going to put me in a genuine depression, but that's what happened. And, I thought I saw something on Twitter that said there were shots fired at his event or whatever, and I like put it out of my mind. And then I kept seeing. Then I got home from I don't know wherever I was, and I opened Twitter. And it's funny. I immediately texted Mike about it, and in my mind, I was still under the impression that he got shot. And that was going to be, he was rushed to the hospital and he was stable and was most likely going to live. And I was thinking like, as I was watching like the footage or just watching like the coverage on Twitter. And then I never saw the close up video. I saw the far video. I was like, oh, wow, like he's going to have like probably serious problems with like his neck or like his vocal cords, like he talks for a living. Like that's going to really mess that up. And then the news came that he died like, I don't know, minutes later. And, it really affected me. Hey, I didn't know. And I know a lot of people have said this, but I did not know how young Charlie Kirk was. I did not know that he was only 31. That's crazy. Because I feel like, it's hard to know a lot of times when like figures like this come onto the scene, like when they appear. But I feel like he's been around for a while. It's hard for me to like put my finger on when I knew about Charlie Kirk. It's like, I just feel like he's just been there for a long time. So it's hard to say, but it certainly didn't feel like he was 9 years younger than me. That was not the impression that I had. Snorted Poopus is saying, under the circumstances, skipping the intro is probably a good idea. Funnily enough, it's not even that. I just don't have access to it anymore because StreamYard like jacked up their prices to such an unbelievable level that I just refuse to pay it. I'm like, that's extortion, and I won't do it. But so I just have the regular download. You didn't watch the videos. Well, a lot of people were saying that you should, just to understand the magnitude, the depth of this. And I think there's something to that, but that's your own personal choice. But it affected me immensely. And I basically just kind of spent the rest of that Wednesday, just sort of listening. I put on, Jeremy and Nerdrotic were talking about it, and I was listening to them. And then it went to Ryan Cannell and then Razor Fist. And I just really just sat there and just listened to them talk about it. I had no urge to go on and talk about it myself. It wasn't something that I was going to do. I didn't even know what to say. I really just wanted to listen to other people talk about it. It hit. Really, really hit. So that's what I did. And then later on that same night, like Zach's had his stream, his like normal Wednesday night stream. And I honestly didn't want to do it. I was like, I don't I'm not in the right headspace to do this, but I was really glad that I did, because it was actually kind of like, misery loves company kind of thing. Like, just talking and commiserating with them actually was really cathartic. And it was something I really needed. And it's just been something that has weighed on me. I cried a lot. I don't know that I've ever cried over a public figure dying that I didn't know. Patrice O'Neal. When Patrice O'Neal died, I cried. Because I felt like I knew him, from all the O&A appearances and like his podcasts and radio shows and his comedy and all that. And I kind of, that affected me. Other than that, I can't think of a single one, And I mean, I cried a lot for his family too. That was really what was the hardest part. Not to say that it was a good thing that he, like if he didn't have kids, it'd be acceptable. But that makes it so much worse. And that they were there and they were scared. Those details coming out it's just so harsh. It's so vicious and brutal, And I was able to like just kind of detach and take time off and not engage really. But their family doesn't have that luxury. They had to have a funeral and all that, and then just the immense weight of that's just hanging over their head, forever. And especially sharply now. And it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things that, I wasn't even really even that knowledgeable about Charlie Kirk. I knew he was around, I knew he talked, but I can't say I was like a particular fan or anything. Like I knew he went and did the college thing, and I knew that was like part of what this was. Hold on. I'm getting text messages. Turn do not disturb on. I knew he was there. I knew, South Park had just parodied him, but I can't say that I was like a subscriber. I don't even think I followed him on Twitter. But I knew what he did, and I saw, clips and stuff here and there. But like, I know people have found like a few clips or a few things that people found that were like particularly egregious. But so what? Even if those things, a lot of it was taken out of context, and it's like, that's just his opinion. It's just a conversation he was having. Even if he was calling for a new Holocaust or something, which, obviously was not even coming close to anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, you don't just take someone out because you don't like what they say, spreading hate or whatever. But he was just a dude. And I've said far more radical, extreme things on the air, and off the air. And I think that's why it hurt so much. Maybe that's what it affected me so much. And seeing everyone celebrate it, I can't really watch much of that. That's too upsetting. Like Destiny, that little twerp, saying just really gay, because he is gay. He's a little poofter. Destiny just saying real gay shit about Charlie Kirk's wife, and it's I can't engage with any of that. Like I definitely got fired up the first few days. I was saying some nasty shit on Twitter. I was not okay. I was not happy, and I was looking for arguments to have with people because I was fucking pissed and sad and upset and the whole thing. It's what the fuck? Can't still getting texting with a do not disturb on. And yeah, and went from being really sad to being really angry. And I would see this, the left, very unsympathetic, very unempathetic, not across the board, But oh, hello, listless. How are you? I accidentally saw the close up. Don't. It bothered me a great deal. I cried. Yeah, well, that's pretty upsetting. Some of that stuff though you do need to see, but I didn't see the close up, and I don't really want to. Listless saying she hasn't been on Twitter since, and you don't want to. I don't blame you. It's upsetting. I had to detach. I had to go listen to comedy podcasts for a little while because I was addicted to the first few days. I just kept scrolling and scrolling. I mean, it was all anyone was talking about. It almost felt like gross to talk about anything else. You know, when I was talking, like I see like a movie like account that I follow, and you're just like, shut the fuck up. We have other things to talk about right now. You know. And then there was like Stephen King spreading lies that he wanted gay people stoned to death. And it's been fucking insane. You know, it has been absolutely insane for the past week. It's a turning point. No pun intended. But it is. It's one of these moments in history that there's a before and after. Oh, right. And I was seeing like peepers. Hello. Matt is always angry when Nadia is involved. Anytime that harpy gets in my ear, I just get furious. I need to smash things. It's just Nadia. Hello, Man of War. Good to see you, buddy. Had zero knowledge of the man prior, but if you can't find an actual clip of him saying it, don't believe it. A lot of shit coming out has been manipulated, misquoted. But that's not the point. You know, it doesn't matter. Misquoted, manipulated. It doesn't matter. It was just a guy talking. And he would talk to your face. He wasn't like that faggot Destiny who talks behind the safety of his camera and his keyboard in his house, you know, where, you can't beat the piss out of him like I'd like to. I feel like that would be justice. But he would go there and he would talk, he would look you in the eyes. I'm sure he had some kind of security, so he couldn't just attack him or whatever. But, that's way more respect. So I don't care if the things he said were offensive to people. I don't really give a shit. That doesn't matter. Your feelings of offense don't matter. It is irrelevant. It is not something anyone should concern themselves with other than you. You need to reconcile these feelings and grow the fuck up. Or how about just take that gun and put it in your own fucking mouth instead of taking out a fucking father. And leave the rest of us the fuck alone. Maybe something like that. But I would see people, before they caught the guy, before they identified who the guy was, they're like, oh, okay. Yeah. No, I wasn't even taking it out on you, Man of War. I was just talking about the libs. The libs. The libs. What a boosh. Hello, sir. No, but people, before they caught the guy, before they identified the guy, they're like, how do you know the left did it? And I guess you didn't, right? It wasn't clear at the time who did it. That was my first instinct when it happened, was some kind of angry leftist, and lo and behold, it was. But that was my first instinct, There's a lot of people who have different narratives and investigating all different angles on this. And I think you should. I think you should exhaust every single possibility and drain this entire thing and look down every possible corridor as to where the truth could lie. I think that that's a good instinct and that's healthy. And I think that's great. And, if you're wrong along the way, whatever, that's in service of trying to get to the bottom of it. That's right, Boosh. I am angry. I am angry. I'm an angry man. I am angry about it. I'll tell you, I was like, even just being at the gym today, I was like, man, I'm like on edge. Like some dude was like looking at me while I was like on the treadmill. And this guy's like he just looking at me, and I'm in my head, I'm like, what the fuck are you looking at? Like I almost said it. Like I was so reflexive. I was like, all right, I'm a little cagey. I'm a little on edge. But Bush saying, how did I know? History, patterns, leftist rhetoric, how the left behaves in public, etc. That was my first instinct. It was just some crazy leftist. But the point is, it actually didn't matter who did it. It could have been Bibi Netanyahu himself. It didn't matter. what we saw was a complete lack of empathy by a very large swath of the population and people that are happy it happened and showed no remorse. And, you know, yeah, okay, there's always crazies out there, but it seemed to be a lot of accounts. It seemed to be a lot of people. There seemed to be, and maybe, maybe the internet can warp your perception. Of course it can, but I don't know. The Emmys happened the other night. Not one mention. Not one. It had just happened. No one said a fucking peep about it. No one even like alluded to condemning political violence. Now, obviously, I don't expect those creeps in Hollywood to have any soul or integrity or humanity, obviously. But just from an optics perspective, you'd at least think you'd pretend. That's what they love to do. They love to pretend and virtue signal. None of that. None of like, thank you. And I, disavow all political violence. So it's all some hippie liberal bullshit. Nothing. Not a single acknowledgement. And people were, Nate Bargatze was the host. Not that I watched the Emmys because who gives a shit. But Nate Bargatze was the host. And he said, I guess that, there's not being any politics or whatever, which is like, yeah, bullshit. There was plenty of politics, but Nate's a good guy. But they weren't going to adjust it. And it's like, yeah, I feel like if it was one of their little darlings that they would have adjusted it. And I think they would have made the whole show about it. And I think they would have incorporated that person into their montage of who died and so on and so forth. Not that I expect anything from those people, nor do I want it, but it's indicative of the mindset. It's indicative that, they're up there cheering Colbert, right? And people like that are, they're the ones who get the crazies fired up, right? They were talking about, Alyssa's is saying, this is what bothered me the most and made me just despair, the overwhelming lack of humanity out there. That kind of rhymed. Sort of wrote a little poem there, listless. And yes, that was upsetting. That was very upsetting. Which way do I want to go? What do I want to say here? The thing is, so the thing with that girl Irina who got stabbed in the neck by that fucking savage on the light rail in was that North Carolina? Somewhere over there. People are like, oh, the people defend he's mentally ill. And that's what they try to do. He's mentally ill. It's like, okay. So fucking what? Fucking string them both up and light them on fire for everyone to see. I'm like, let's bring back cruel and unusual punishment. Jail, delicate, lethal injection. These are not strong enough deterrents. I want like the end of Braveheart. You know what I mean? Like pull his guts out and draw and quarter him for everyone to see and fucking live stream it. But yeah, they're crazy. Well, guess who's going to have an unhinged response? Guess who's going to be susceptible to all your rhetoric? Crazy people. They're not going to understand that you're being a hyperbolic cunt because you didn't get your way in politics. They're not going to understand that you're just saying things to say things, to try to get people fired up to vote or whatever, or burn cities or whatever. They're going to take it literally, and then they're going to respond. So when, Jasmine Crockett or some idiot says that, they're out to get black people, well, the nut job is going to take that literally and stab an innocent girl on the fucking train. The nut job, when you say that there's a trans genocide because we're not putting up with your mental illness any longer, well, they're not going to think, oh, you're being hyperbolic and you're just using language in a way to cause alarm. They're going to think, oh, they really are genociding trans people. I should kill someone who stands up to trans identity, trans ideology. That's what they're going to think. So it doesn't matter that he was mentally ill. You're not off the hook because they're mentally ill. In fact, you're more culpable because you didn't consider that there are crazy people out there who will respond to your shit. Like, literally. It doesn't matter that they're mentally ill. That is not an excuse. It's all the more reason for you to be careful with your words, you dickhead, and to stop exaggerating and throwing a fit and lying and flat out lying. That's not acceptable. And, like Bush was saying, what'd you say here? The history or whatever. Whatever. I don't know why I can't find it. There we go. How did I know? History, patterns, leftist rhetoric, how the left behaves in public. That's right. That's what I mean. It's like you guys have created this panicked state in people, this anxiety. First of all, I mean, you're fucking retard if you believe it. You're dumb. And I don't even think you really, really believe it. I just think you want to keep yourself in a state of mania because you just hate Trump so much. No, that's too bad. That's too bad. You want to go night-night. You need a nap. You want a bottle. Grow up. But I think, it's like all of their alarms. It's like the things didn't happen. We didn't have World War III throughout the first Trump presidency, did we? Well, that's what I heard was going to happen, and it didn't. And there wasn't we're not rounding up gay people or doing what was that thing with the Handmaid's Tale, and they're going to have state-sanctioned pregnancies or whatever the hell these retards convince themselves is possible. None of that's happening. So do you walk it back and acknowledge that you were wrong? No. You just double down and move to the next thing because this isn't about the truth. This isn't about right or wrong. This is about dominance. This is a war. To them, it's a war. To us, we're having a conversation. To us, we are trying to convince you of our better ideas, of the truth as we see it, based on conclusions and evidence and faith. That's not what they're trying to do. It's not what they're trying to do. They are trying to kill you. At least that's how it appears to me. At least that's how it looks to me. Now, I think it's important to be rational and to not get yourself in trouble. I was very much of the mindset where I wish a motherfucker would. I wanted to see one of those twerps taking down some memorial. Because, you know what I mean? But it's important to not get yourself in trouble, and it's important to have cooler heads prevail. A lot of people, there are a lot of things said about this. Nick Fuentes had a good video about it. Dave Smith had a great video about it. And his, advocacy for don't respond, I think, was wise and healthy and smart. Because it is easy to want to get vengeance. When you see them out there happy about it, it's, you're like, well, then that could have been me. That could be, if I was, on the level, my ideas are no less, divisive, even though the majority of the country agrees with these divisive concepts. But that could have been me. That could have been anybody. That could be Gary. That could be, my friends. That could be fucking, there are a lot of people who say things and even more radical. It's like, oh, so you want us all dead then? Do you think we should die because we don't think the way you do? I didn't know it was that serious. I thought, you just hated us and wanted us to lose. It's like, no, you want us to die. Oh, well, that's a fucking different situation. That is a much different situation. And I don't know. I'm going to have a hard time playing nice anymore. It's, this one, I just honestly, it hit me so hard. I can't, I never expected that I would be this affected by it, but it hit me like a fucking sledgehammer. And it's been all, it's all I fucking think about. I mean, there were nights I couldn't really sleep, partially my fault. I was doom scrolling on Twitter, but I just, it was upsetting, man. It was very, very upsetting. And I'd wake up and be the first thing I'd think about. I'm like, God damn it, man. What's up, Sunshine Dodo? What do you guys say? I think Mike said it was later reported that Erica, the kids were not there. Not that it makes any less of a tragedy, but I was relieved to hear that. That's great. I didn't know that. I didn't think that they were there. That's what I first heard. And then, that's another thing too with stuff like this. There's just so much out there, and we're getting all of our information, 140 or 160 characters, whatever it is, on Twitter. It's hard to remember, like to filter out what's real, what isn't, what's factual, But Zach's here. Oh, what's up, Zach? How you doing, brother? Didn't even see you there. What's up, dog? What up, dog? Stuff is coming out now that it was a whole network of freaks arranged this whole thing on Discord. I heard this being talked about. I haven't done a whole lot of research. I don't really know what's going on right now. I was listening to Candace Owens' show just before this, and she was reading the text messages that they got, and I guess a lot of them were validating. She's extremely skeptical of the narrative, but I guess they were validating that he spreads hate and he needs to go, which is that was my first instinct when it happened. That was the first thing I thought that happened, that this was some crazy leftist. And it just keeps, happening. And they keep talking about it's like right-wing violence. I'm like, where is all this right-wing violence you talk about? That thing in Minnesota? Didn't that guy, wasn't he nuts and said Tim Walz told him to do it or something? Like, it's like that guy wasn't like, yeah, I did this for Trump. Whereas this guy's saying I did it because he spreads hate. Like, where is all this right-wing violence that you talk about? I hear about, there's all this, it happens on both sides. Like, when, where? How? What are you fucking talking about? What, Timothy McVeigh? I mean, okay. You want to go back 30 years? Where is all this right-wing violence? Did you see a lot of right-wing violence going on after the shooting? I didn't, but I felt angry. I felt violent. But a lot of people just went and prayed. I fucking prayed. I don't even pray, and I prayed. People are going to vigils. Where's all the right-wing violence? Where is it? If it's so fucking prevalent that you need to mention it all the time, where is it? Give me one example. I want to see. I don't see it. I think you're full of shit. Sorry, I'm not keeping up with the chat, guys. Just yeah, he worked for Tim Walz. Yeah, I heard that. This podcast is kind of right-wing violence. It is right-wing audio violence. Yeah. But I just need to talk about all this stuff. It's been inside me. If it seems uninteresting, I'm sorry. But it's just been on my mind. It's all I'm thinking about. And I have a bunch of clips. It's funny, I haven't even felt the need to go to any of them, because there's a lot of stuff that's been going on, and just a lot of thoughts, going through my head. And what was going around too was all those people that lost their jobs because they were celebrating it, and then they got reported to their employers that they you are still here, Sex. Okay, Parrot Head, hello. Reported to their employers that they were saying horrible things and celebrating the death of a young father because he was an influential right-wing guy. Which, you'd expect to see one or two videos. I feel like I've seen dozens, but there's probably enough people out there who are, heard about it. I don't know. I just get the feeling that there's a lot of people out there who are just kind of like good. They might not say it. They might have enough self-awareness to not say it. But there's plenty of people who are out there vocally on social media, not even like in private life. Wasn't like someone recorded them saying it and then leaked it on the internet. They put it out there on TikTok and stuff. They're just making videos of being like, and these people are losing their jobs. I don't feel bad about that at all. I haven't contributed. I wasn't making phone calls. I don't feel bad about it. I kind of like it. It's sort of giving me a little bit of joy. It's not something that I would contribute to personally. It's just not the type of thing. I don't like the tattling and getting people in trouble. But like I said, I'm not crying that it's happening. I think it's hilarious. Fuck around and find out. We're in the find out stage. And people are saying, well, that's hypocritical. Because I thought the right didn't like cancel culture. And that's almost a good point. Very close to being a good point. It would be a great point if it wasn't for the fact that a lot of people were canceled over jokes, things you didn't like that weren't specific to anyone, weren't laughing about anyone specific dying. They were making jokes, you fucking pussy, and having the wrong political opinions. That's different than celebrating a fucking public execution that just happened to a young father who didn't do anything. People were being like, oh, if this happened to Biden, I wouldn't celebrate it. And I'm like, I would. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. But it's not the same thing. A politician is not the same thing. First of all, it comes with the job. There are, Secret Service for a reason. It's part of the gig. I'm not saying it should happen. I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying it's part of the job. If Trump got assassinated, I'd be devastated. I'd be very upset. I don't think I would be as upset about it as I am with this, because this guy wasn't a politician. He didn't have his finger on the trigger of dropping bombs. Trump's got blood on his hands. I think he's mostly doing the right thing, but I mean, how many thousands, tens of thousands of people have died because of the United States military? He could pull that back if he wanted to. He's the commander in chief of the armed forces. We don't have to keep bombing Somalia. We don't have to keep this war, the civil war in Syria that we got started, and the Yemen and Gaza, those are on his hands. The blood of those people is on his hands. Whether or not that's right, wrong, whatever. You could talk about that forever. But the truth of the matter is, it's true. So it's different, right? Because that's a politician. That's you like I said, you lead an army, people die. This guy wasn't that. He was just a guy, and he was a polite, respectful guy, and he would look you in the eye. It's just like the fact that he would show up and have the conversations with people, have the debate. That's respect. He's giving you enough respect to hear you out. Him spreading hate, disagreeing with your bullshit that proves wrong perennially, all of it being wrong. Like, you have no wins. I don't know. Getting fired for glorifying murders is a job policy. Firing people for having a different political opinion is discrimination. Well put, Boosh. And the other thing too is like, I don't think the right wing in this country was like, there's nothing you could get fired for saying. Like, if you said you want to skin black people alive or something, it's like, you should probably be fired for saying something like that. That the company shouldn't have to associate with you simply because of your freedom of speech. That the freedom of speech protects you from getting arrested. You losing your gig because you're celebrating someone's death. It's like, The company has the right to do that. I think, like, I just think it's different. And maybe that's hypocritical. Whatever. I don't think it is. But maybe you could fucking argue that it is. I don't think it is. Like I said, I'm not partaking in it, but I'm not crying about it at all. I think it's kind of awesome. And I think you deserve it. You know, there should be some kind of social repercussion. And we can't kick the shit out of you like I'd like. You know, that's what I think should happen to like Destiny. She just get beat up. You know, Destiny should just be shoved in a locker, honestly. Fucking twerp. That's what should happen to these people. They should have to face some kind of, retribution. I don't want them dead, but I mean, a little smack in the mouth to feel it. I'm okay with that. I think that's fine. But that doesn't exist. You can't just assault someone because you don't like what they say. That's just not the way the modern society works. But there needs to be some sort of punitive measure. You can't just go out there saying anything about a young father who was just assassinated because you didn't like what he said. You can't, that can't just, we can't as a society let that stand. We have to have some principles. And that's one that we don't agree with. So fuck you and get fired, idiot. That's how I feel. Like I said, that there are limits. It's not like I could say anything on the internet, anything at all, and then, be shocked, Pikachu face, when I lose my job. There are lines. Of course, there are lines. You have to take, like, for instance, this kind of like there's a thing going on now with Rubio is trying to pass something where you can have your passport revoked if you criticize Israel. I don't know. I haven't looked into that. It sounded like that was happening, but so I want to just say that because I'm going to talk about something else that's adjacent to that. But there were all these people who got their student visas revoked and I think got deported for partaking in Palestine protests. And for the record, I think Israel is committing a genocide and I don't support them at all. And I'd love for our funding to stop tomorrow, today, right this second. I don't like Israel as a country. I think they are evil. That being said, if you come from another country and you criticize that government in a protest and they kick you out, I don't really think you should be all that surprised. Like if I was on a student visa in Spain and I was being like, fuck the Spanish government, fuck you, and they're like, get out, like I could be upset about it, but I shouldn't be surprised. Like you're a guest. You're a guest here. Behave. Act appropriately. Like I said, I don't think that's the reason. I'm pretty sure the reason is because how dare you criticize Israel? That's a bridge too far. But there's something too, like, hey, shut the fuck up. You're a guest here. It's like when someone from outside of America starts criticizing America, you're like, hey, shut up. You don't have a dog in this fight. You don't get here to just piss like, we don't need to hear from you. Fuck off. It's not that that's right. I'm just saying it's like, shut up. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, my dad is such an abusive drunk. It's like, yeah, he's a real piece of shit. It's like, hey, I can say that. It's my dad. You can't say that. Shut up. What are you saying? Listless. There was a 5th grade teacher here. So 10-year-olds that made a whole class watch the video close up to celebrate. I heard that. Yeah, that woman should be fired. Because it's like you can't beat her up, right? You can't have physical retribution against a woman. But yeah, she got fired. All right, good. That's just crazy. I'm not putting that on the screen, Cincintildo. You fucking maniac. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not partaking in any of it. I like it. It's funny, especially when people post. Why do people do that? Why do people post their L's? It's so weird. Having like a meltdown that they got fired. It's like, we're like jerking off to that, right? Like, why the hell would you put that online? That's really nuts. What if your dad defunds the demise of my family? You could still shut the hell up about my father, said your dildo. No, I get it. I understand. But like I said, you just shouldn't be shocked if you're on a student visa and you criticize the government and then they fucking kick you out. It's like, it's not really, I get it. I said, I'm on the side of Palestine. I am quite anti-Israel. That being said, I just think you should shut the fuck up when you're a guest in another country. Like I wouldn't go to Bolivia and just start shitting all over whatever they're doing down there. It's not my place. It's not my country. I'm a guest. Keep your mouth shut. It's like walking into someone's house and just being like, God, this place is filthy. Do you even clean? What the hell's wrong with you? It's just like, shut up. This isn't your house. It might be true, but keep your mouth shut. I'll throw you out of here. Wait, you're a fucking moron. Hey, I am a moron. I'm not a fucking moron. Let's take it easy, Boosh. Who sucked at your job? I did good at, oh, you're not talking about me. And violated policy and got fired. You're crying. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's just, there's nothing's absolute. Even the First Amendment has you can't say fire in a crowded theater kind of thing. There's even limits on that. There's limits on everything. You can't, it's not, you can't just do whatever you want, whenever you want, and not expect there to be consequences occasionally. There has to be some for society to function. And you proudly laughing. I mean, they were laughing. They weren't like, hey, listen, like, sorry for the family, but I don't care that he's dead. They weren't like gentle. They weren't polite. They weren't respectful. They were like, ha 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 ha. I was like, God damn it. That was very frustrating. If the U.S. gave me a student visa, that would be funny. That would be scary. That'd be the opposite of funny. I'd be very worried. I would stock up on ammunition if they're letting people like you in this country. We should all be worried. We should all be very worried. All right, I'm gonna play some clips then. I'll play this one from our vice president, JD, who I have really learned to like. I really like JD a lot. He seems to me to be one of the most reasonable and like just decent motherfuckers. I like him a whole lot. He did like Theo Vaughn's podcast and he was just so normal, just such a decent motherfucker. And that's a good quality in a guy, in a politician. Like I like Trump. I do a lot. Don't fucking shoot me over it, libs. But I don't relate to him. I don't feel like me and him have much in common. You know what I mean? Other than some of our political views overlap. Not that I need it to. I don't need the president to be like someone I know. It's like, yeah, Trump has like golden toilets. We're not the same kind of guy. But JD is not, I don't feel that way about JD. I feel like JD's like, I feel like I could know JD. I feel like JD could be someone like in my family. He's such a normal guy, such a normal dude. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of consequences, Matt. I mean, that, like I said, that's true. Like, I don't think, but I just don't think the reason people were getting canceled or fired was like the type of thing that was so, like, they weren't valid. It was, Shane made an Asian joke. That doesn't mean he should lose his gig, And it's not to say like this is a principle that we should embrace. Hopefully when this is all, what's up, Vidge? How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Hopefully when this is over, the right's not going to continue cancel culture, right? I just feel like this particular instance is pretty egregious. It's pretty egregious. It's pretty egregious to celebrate the death of a young father because you didn't like what he said. It's pretty shitty. Anyway, this is from our vice president. He hosted Charlie Kirk's show yesterday. Yeah. Really good. There's actually a good moment from Tucker too, which I'm going to play, which is pretty funny. But I'll just play this part because I really liked this. And I think he's right. And say what you will about that, but I think he's correct.
There is no unity with people who scream at children over their parents' politics. There is no unity with someone who lies about what Charlie Kirk said in order to excuse his murder. There is no unity with someone who harasses an innocent family the day after the father of that family lost a dear friend. There is no unity with the people who celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination. And there is no unity with the people who fund these articles, who pay the salaries of these terrorist sympathizers, who argue that Charlie Kirk, a loving husband and father, deserved a shot to the neck because he spoke words with which they disagree.
Yeah. Fucking yes. You know, whether or not you agree with that sentiment, that is clearly his point of view. You know, every other president, politician, cabinet, right? If this was, what was that jizzbag who Trump had as his last VP, Mike Pence? Like, if this was Mike Pence wouldn't, you know, he'd say some, you know, party line, blah, blah, bullshit, blah, blah, blah. This is clearly how JD really feels. And I agree. I concur, sir. This is not fucking unity. Fucking blow me, unity. It's like, it's like, you know, it's like after like 9/11, you know, and they're like, don't be Islamophobic. It's like, fucking blow me. Start disavowing that terrorist attack on innocent Americans was wrong. And then we can maybe see eye to eye. But I'm not just going to embrace, you know, oh, well, you know, don't be hateful to Muslims. Oh, really? Oh, their feelings might get hurt. A building went down. 3,000 people died. I don't give a shit about their feelings. And it's like, oh, we're going to have unity. Unity? They are dancing on his grave. That extends beyond just Charlie Kirk, by the way. It's not like he's the only one who had those ideas that you know, all this gender shit is like mental illness, performative fucking virtues bullshit, commie nonsense, that the borders should be closed. That's not like a unique or even particularly radical opinion. These are opinions I have. These are feelings that I have, that many people have. And so if you're happy he's dead, you'd be happy that I died. And you'd be happy that my friends died and my members of my family and so on and so forth. So we're just going to have unity with them? We're just going to hold hands and let bygones be fucking bygones? Sorry. Count me out of your unity. Blow me. Unity. You wanted us fucking, you know, you want canceled from public life, debanked, unemployed, and now dead because we disagree with your fucking politics. And like I said, we don't, you know, it looks like it was just some crazy leftist that did it. It's tough to believe official stories, you know what I mean, in general, even from this administration, you know, in lieu of, hey, there were no Epstein files. They just didn't exist. Oh, really? That's okay. Well, never mind. I guess we'll just move on. So it's tough for me to just like, oh, well, I'll just lap this slop up. Certainly this is the case. It might be, it might not be. But JD's right. Unity. Fuck your unity. You want me dead. Shut up, said Shintildo. Let me have my moment. Let me sound off self-righteously. But I think he's right.
Did you know that the George Soros Open Society Foundation and the Ford Foundation, the groups who funded that disgusting article justifying Charlie's death, do you know they benefit from generous tax treatment?
Tell them.
They are literally subsidized by you and me, the American taxpayer. And how do they reward us?
Tell them.
By setting fire to the house built by the American family over 250 years.
Tell them.
I'm desperate.
Fuck yeah, JD. Fuck yeah, dude. That's exactly what I want to hear my leaders say. I don't want false, you know, claims of unity. And you don't need to calm us down because we're not burning anything, are we? No. We didn't light fire to cities. Didn't happen. Not once. There hasn't been any retribution violence as far as I know, and it's been a week. So you don't need to worry about calming us down because we're already in control of our own actions and the way our minds work. But I don't want here false calls for unity. Oh, this is not a time for division. This is precisely the time for division. You want me dead? You're my fucking enemy then. We are enemies. We are not like, oh, we disagree. It's like, no. You are moot. That is done. We are done entertaining you, listening to your shit. That is fucking over. I'm fired up. I don't know how I'll feel about this, but it's hard to not get emotional. It's hard to not get emotional because I said, I listen to what this guy said. I watched a lot of Charlie Kirk over the past week, and it's like this guy was not saying anything more radical. Shut the fuck up, such a dildo. You're such an asshole. You're probably right. Probably right. Hello, SBN. SBN Kitschy's Girl Dusk. Oh, I remember you. How's it going? I want nothing to do with those demons. The both sides argument is dead, and we are all done with the left. Yeah. You know, at least for the time fucking being, you know, at least for a little while. Maybe we'll come back to being fucking peaceful in 4 years. Maybe then we'll see how it goes. We'll see how you fucking behave. But in the meantime, get fucked with this unity bullshit. It's time for unity. Fuck you. Fuck you. I think Trump just won the midterms. We'll see. We'll see. You know, it was during the Irina thing because I've been, you know, I want to be rah for the Trump administration all the time. It feels good. It's fun. Feels nice. Feels like, yeah, the good guys are in charge. I don't like what they're doing with Israel at all. And the Epstein files, probably related, didn't like that. Pretty big. Those are pretty big. Those are hard to be on board with. But when I saw that Irina thing, I was like, we fucking need him, though. We fucking need the guy. You know what I mean? If it's not him, it's fucking nobody. And I'm not forgiving it, but we still need the guy. I would obviously like for everything to work out. You know, it was his own administration that pushed that fucking story, kept making that story a story. You didn't have to talk about it. Wouldn't have been a problem. Does that mean you're dumping Mike? No, Mike should be on here any minute, actually, to have a conversation. Mike is a very reasonable guy. Well, I'll let him tell you because maybe he'll say something stupid and you guys can direct your anger at him, which would really make me laugh. So let's see how he behaves. Let's see how he behaves. I don't know if there's anything more to this, but I liked him calling out George Soros. That was pretty cool. I agree with your Peter Thiel thing. I agree. I understand. I feel like Vance is not the guy. I feel like Vance is not the... I don't think he's the villain here, but...
For our country to be united in condemnation of the actions and the ideas that killed my friend. I want it so badly that I will tell you a difficult truth. We can only have it with people who acknowledge that political violence is unacceptable, and when we work to dismantle the institutions that promote violence and terrorism in our own country.
The only thing that makes me worried is when he says terrorism. Because some other clips were going around today that were pretty upsetting, that were big L's, and I didn't see anyone supporting it. It's like that whole thing where they try to like act like MAGA is like totally cool with PDF files now because of the Trump thing. It's like, we're not. We're very upset about that. I haven't seen anyone celebrating it. There are a few people being like, well, you know, blah, blah. But for the most part, everyone was like, what the hell are you doing, Trump? I haven't let it go. And the right and the left actually wisely understands that, and they keep pushing it, even though they never said shit about it. And they were not, there were 4 years of Biden, or you didn't say a damn word about releasing those files. You didn't say anything. Suddenly it's your biggest issue because you know it's a real shot. But we're done with the left, so who gives a shit? Absolutely. R.I.P. Irina and Charlie. I think it's something to think that some loser that identifies as a pineapple might be gunning for you over a political opinion. Yeah. Like, I think I'm going to start carrying. I don't carry. I keep it at home, but I might start carrying because this is crazy. I found out too, unrelated, but there's a gas station by my house There was a murder there back in June. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I mean, there was a guy that was stabbed there one day when I was there. I was just getting off of work and I was going to buy beer or a vape or something. And this guy is standing in the doorway just bleeding. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, call the cops, and like just, held his chest till the police arrived. And he lived. But it was, my friend reminded me that. I was like, wasn't there a guy that got, can you help a guy that got stabbed there? And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. So, the whole National Guard thing with like dealing with the crime in the cities, I'm like, yeah, this is not something that should be negotiated. We shouldn't be like, people were like, oh, Chicago's not even in the top murder cities in the country. It's like, it's number one. It's number one. It's not top in per capita, but it is number one in murders and violent crime in the country. Number one with a bullet, so to speak. So stop. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that we live in these cities. It's like, what, you don't have cops? Do your fucking jobs. If you look closely, you'll see a match-shaped piece of furniture in the background. Now I've kept the table. I've kept the table in the closet for a while. Lefties can't defend their ideals because they're always fucking wrong. They're wrong about all of them. They're always wrong. Did you hear the despicable things Destiny was saying about Charlie Kirk's assassination? He was basically said we would still have Charlie alive if Americans didn't elect Trump. Yeah, I did hear him say that. I don't acknowledge that faggot. Fuck that guy. That guy stinks. I don't really, I don't, that guy is such a douchebag. It's like, oh, really? Douchebag said douchebag things? Yeah. And it's like, I can't allow myself to get upset with the things that they say, because that's why he's saying it. That's why that little fucking worm is saying that, because that's his thing. It's inflammatory. And he knows it'll drive clicks and get attention because he's a little hollow monster of a person. Fuck that guy. I'm glad you helped that guy who was bleeding and didn't just stare at him disdainfully or anything, Matt. Yeah, I think he was a bum. And who knows why? He might have deserved to get stabbed. I don't know. I didn't know anything about it, but I was just like, all right, well, I'm not going to let this guy bleed to death. That was fucking crazy. And I had blood all over my hands. I was like, I hope I don't get a fucking disease from this guy. You know what I mean? I hope I don't get like hepatitis for trying to save this guy's life. And the cops, they're just like, all right, they take the guy in the house. And I'm just like, can I wash my hands? Please. Can I please wash the blood off my hands? Destiny's a cokehead. Destiny is a stripper name. Destiny is a stripper name. But yeah, look at this dumb shit. You're like, what? There's two clips from this bubble-headed idiot. Two. What? Pam Bondi needs to fucking go. All right. This is something I think this came out last night.
That's horrific. It's free speech, but you shouldn't be employed anywhere if you're going to say that. And employers, you have an obligation to get rid of people.
Oh, okay. So this was about, I guess like Office Depot wouldn't print Charlie Kirk flyers, which is fucking gay and ridiculous. But, there's another solution to that. You can just defame the company and publicly embarrass them, boycott them. You can let the market fix that problem. But Pam Bondi's got another idea.
You need to look at people who are saying horrible things, and they shouldn't be working with you. Businesses cannot discriminate. If you want to go in and print posters with Charlie's pictures on them for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that. I have Harmeet Dillon right now in our civil rights unit looking at that immediately, that Office Depot had done that. We're looking at that. But Sean,
Shut up, Pam. Shut up. We do not need the government to enforce that at all. That is such a mistake. It's the fucking gay cake argument all over again. The whole point that was cleared up in that is that they do not have an obligation to just print anything or do anything that you demand of them. They are a free business and they have the right to not do that. I think it's wrong to not print Charlie Kirk flyers. I think that they should all be, they should film them all, put them on the internet, humiliate them, defame Office Depot. By the way, I mean, printing is not like it's not like photo development where you need you can do that at a lot of different places. Office Depot is not the only game in town. So let's put them on blast. You don't need the government to prosecute, because what happens after you leave, Pam? After Trump leaves, then it'll be anything. Then it could be, I was just printing a right-wing flyer with just, I believe in the Second Amendment or something. And then they could prosecute me or something. That was a terrible point, but you know what I'm trying to say. You get what I'm saying. She's an idiot. Is this about Destiny? He talks super fast, can't stand topics, spurgs out, starts screaming, works his mouth like he's 100% blowing an elephant and grinds his teeth. He's a cokehead. That's funny. Yeah, he's a shitty debater. Everyone thinks he just talks really fast and doesn't deal with, he doesn't deal with the counter arguments. He's just not a serious person. I don't care about Destiny. It's the bake the gay cake all over again. It's 100% the gay cake over again. 100%. Did you see the Office Depot clip and the landmass who said it? Oof, no. But that's, you know what I mean? The fact that it's out there is that's the retribution that needs you to. Pam, shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. How many L's can you collect in 6 months? God damn. I want the fucking guy who got accused of sleeping with an underage girl over you. God, you're such a fucking idiot. And she's not done. There's more dumb shit this idiot has to say. There's more. It doesn't end there. God, she sucks.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle. There's free speech and then there's hate speech.
No, Pam, there is only free speech. There is no such thing as hate speech. Hate speech is free speech. I have to be able to say hateful things sometimes because sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes that aligns with the truth. Yes, there very much is. There is no difference. That is what the First Amendment is for, is to say hateful things. Because once again, Pam, think about how this will get enforced once you're gone, which will happen. These appointments are not for life. So someone will take that precedent and then use it on people on me right now, saying this thing on a live stream, saying there's no time for unity. Well, that's hate speech against the left. Well, I guess we have to arrest you. This woman just said she's going to throw out the First Amendment. Unbelievable. What a fucking retard. Get back to the kitchen, indeed. Hate speech, for Christ's sake. I am with you. Boosh, how long am I going? Michael was supposed to be here, so we were supposed to talk. I was thinking about going for another hour. We'll see how it goes. But that's the plan. Plans to go for another hour, Boosh. But God, I know. Shut up. Making threats is not hate speech. It's a crime. Stop saying hate speech. Stop saying hate speech. And by the way, where do you feel this is going to most likely be enforced? I think it's probably going to be enforced with some other hate speech this administration seems to take issue with. I don't think it's going to have anything to do with Charlie Kirk. Unfucking believable. Defamation isn't hate speech. It's a crime. She meant criminal speech. Maybe she did. I hope she did. She is such an L factory. Go another hour. I headed for a walk. Okay. Yes, sir. I will keep yakking. I'll yak. Speaking of yakking, Hello, Michael.
Hello. Welcome
How are
to
you?
my squalid conditions.
Doesn't look too bad.
Yeah. I'm in the middle of upending everything and reorganizing. So there's shit everywhere. I've got this nice ladder out because I have this space above my closet where I can store things. I have a very high ceilings in here.
Oh, this is fascinating.
Yeah. Riveting.
Michael,
I know it's a bit off topic.
Michael just moved. He just moved into a new home in Seattle. Actually, that's funny. Now that you're here, I have this question for you. Because you live in Seattle, and a few weeks ago, when I came back from hanging out with you, I cataloged some of the more ridiculous things that we happen to encounter in Seattle, like the kickboxing for sensitive people and the one-man show that was a female and non-binary comedy show with one man. How Sentient Dildo is booing you because you're a commie. I support this.
I do too.
Right response.
Support it too.
Yeah.
Free speech.
Is there a bank of refrigerators to your right, Michael?
I'm curious.
I don't know.
Is this to my right?
That would be.
This is my actual right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
The camera's mirrored, or
I have no idea why he's asking that. But anyway, what have you noticed? What has Seattle been like since Charlie Kirk got shot?
There was a vigil downtown.
Really?
Yes, there was. Yeah, there was conversation about it at my work the day that it happened. You texted me while I was opening the bar. Ivan and I were opening the bar, and the rest of the staff was filtering in, and it was the immediate subject of discussion.
Well, what was the tone of the conversation? Like, what were people like? Have you like the reason I ask is because if there's any place where there's people who are going to be jumping up and down for Charlie's death, I would think it would be Seattle. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't talked to. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Bush's comment now.
I see. Yes. The whole thing.
No, I have an actual wall.
Yeah, actual wall, an actual home. The sensitive kickboxing, just sparring. No, they just hold each other. And cry. No, but what have you seen? Give me the details.
I have only talked with people at work about it because that is where I spend most of my time. And when I'm not at work, I am at home. And so the conversations were much more lengthy. There wasn't, I would say, the room for just knee-jerk emotionally charged reactions that were meant to get a rise out of anybody else, because we're all close at work, so there's no like generic theme to the conversation of either.
You just answer the fucking question. What was the tone? Was it positive? Was it supportive? Were they like, well, he kind of deserved it? What was it like?
It was I would say it was positive, not in like a celebratory way, but in a like, wow, this is deeply fucked up. This is really fucked up. And there's a particular person at work who I was initially, he was like, doing the kind of corny celebratory thing. And then we were closing and he was sitting up at the bar and we were talking about, just the whole situation and the ideological implications. And he expressed a much more, thoughtful, empathetic. I think, for him, it still kind of existed. I think, it kind of existed in the meme sphere for him. It didn't really exist as like, oh, this is a real person who was shot in the neck and blood was spurting out of his neck and in front of 3,000 people, and he collapsed, in the arms of one of his security guards and bled out and died on the ground in front of 2,000 people. That's sort of like
reality of it.
Yeah, the harsh reality of a really gruesome and unjustifiable death might have taken longer.
So in Seattle, you haven't seen anything that would be like?
No, I haven't seen any. Oh, you froze on my end.
Really? I don't hope it's still going. I don't know. Can you hear me? Oh, you froze. He froze. Mike, what did the people in your commie polycule say? That's a great question. And when he unfreezes, I feel like I'd like to get to the bottom of that. Sammy boy. Hello, Sam. I met Charlie a long time ago via Skype before he became famous around 2013. That is very interesting. Did you talk about that? I know you have your show. Did you happen to talk about that on your show? I'd be very curious to see. I'm going to take Michael out, see when he comes back. If he comes back. He is frozen. Yes, you are frozen, Mike. I know. Yeah, I'd be curious to hear about that, buddy. That is very interesting. Like I was saying earlier, like I was so shocked to learn that he was 31 because I feel like he has been around for so long. Like I feel like I'd been aware of him for a very long time, and I was, just assumed he was older. You know what I mean? He's also like, I don't know. He felt like an adult, whereas I feel like I don't feel like I'm an adult, even though I'm much older. I was, 9 years older than him. He had like a family and kids, and it's amazing that guy was so impactful and successful at such a young age. Like that's crazy. Like, wow. Like, you know what I mean? There are just impressive people out there who are just focused and driven, and send you a new link. It should be the same link, Mike, but I will send it. I will send it to you, buddy. Full send to Mike. All right. Let me see here. Boom. All right. Sent, Chief. Still the same link should work, but anyway. Yeah, just an impressive person. And like I said, I'm not pretending that I was a huge fan or anything. It's not that I objected to anything that he said. It's just, I was never all that interested in like going on the college campus thing. Anyway, okay, Mike's back. Hello, Mike.
Hello.
You're back. Oh,
all right.
Are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Whoa,
Okay,
that's
cool.
blurrier than I expected.
Yeah, that looks ridiculous. But no, I think because I think I texted you. You're the first person I texted when it happened.
Yeah.
And, it was surprising, but it's like, a lot of that stuff, it does feel like it exists on the internet. It doesn't feel necessarily real.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you start to process it and you start to think about it and you really get it hits you, it's like, man, this is so fucked up. This is so devastating and wrong. And I don't know. It's just like I said, if you told me before it happened, the day before it happened or whatever, that, hey, Charlie Kirk's going to get assassinated, how are you going to feel about that? Like, I don't know that I would have said I would have a strong reaction, but
yeah,
it put me in a genuine depression.
Yeah. It was pretty jarring thing to see. And I had watched Charlie for, I watched a lot of that, like kind of debate. I can't remember the other guy who was doing it, who kind of went off the rails. What was his name?
Ben Shapiro.
Well, Ben Shapiro. And then there's the other guy who was like, got caught on camera, like screaming at his pregnant wife to.
Oh, Steven Crowder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would do the change my mind thing. He was doing that before Charlie Kirk's Prove Me Wrong, I guess.
Yeah. Which honestly, I thought like at the time was pretty brave and pretty good, valuable content. For me, the way I looked at the Charlie Kirk thing, like I didn't realize as much. It's kind of like, it's more about like recruiting and having conversations with the young people instead of just going there to own them. Where I feel like Shapiro and Crowder were just there to own the libs,
Yeah, it was sort of just like a dunking contest for those guys to generate clicks and views and revenue.
Yeah.
And Charlie, I think he engaged in that, but to a much lesser degree. His Oxford and Cambridge debates are actually quite interesting. The Oxford one is a little bit more civil, I guess. Or I mean, I guess there are points in both where it gets kind of contentious, but you see a side of that, I guess, conservative debate culture that isn't just designed to be antagonistic and contrarian and there are clips that are, not circulating now, but you could find clips of moments where you can see Charlie changing his mind or reasoning through, some evidence to refute whatever whatever his point is. You can see him, kind of think things over and adjust his position. And I think that it doesn't, at the end of this, it doesn't matter whether or not he changed his mind or whether the things he said were inflammatory. It's, not acceptable to
shoot someone over fucking speech.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not acceptable. Like, it's something, like I was saying earlier, it's like, it's not the same thing as shooting a president.
No, it's not.
It's not. Like, a president, like I said, they all have blood on their hands. And I'm not saying it's right to kill a president. I'm just saying it's different. This was just a guy having polite, respectful conversations in person with people. You know what I mean? Like, he's such a human guy, such a decent guy. Even if he said some things you found like offensive, you can't find him offensive as a person.
Yeah.
It's just, but that's the thing. It's like, there's this biblical nature to the people on the left that is so repugnant that it's just kind of like, it's like they treat it like blasphemy. It's like, if you speak against it, it's like, that's the crime. The crime is not that you're coming up with a different idea or you're trying to examine this or express your own opinion. The crime is you questioned the church. That's the crime. And that fucking, if a man puts on a dress and gives himself hormones, that's a fucking girl. And how dare you say otherwise? We'll fucking kill you if you think differently. That's the reality of this. He was adjusting his position on Israel and now that is the conspiracy theory that is starting to arise. Ian Carroll, he leapt at that basically, when Charlie was still warm. You know what I mean? He basically was, casting that aspersion the moment it happened. It's like, shut the fuck up. However, now the dust has settled a little bit, I still don't think anyone should be drawing any conclusions until you have evidence. I don't think it's healthy, wise, smart, responsible to draw connections. But I will play this clip, and this is from Candace Owens' video from yesterday. Candace Owens, by the way, is on the fucking warpath about this. She put out a video probably the next day, 2 days later, that was really just like a eulogy. It wasn't anything other than just true love and respect for the guy, and played clips of them hanging out and listening to music and just talked about the person that she knew. There wasn't any politics in it. There wasn't any ferocity, and she could have made it worse. Like, she could have made it more pointed. And they were saying that there were just people saying things, and she didn't say who, but just saying that they, what they are saying, it sounds very fake, that they're talking on this, and blah, blah, blah. But it was really like, it was just very heartfelt. However, that is not the tone of this video or the one she put out today. So let's just play this clip. And this is a clip that she decided to play of Charlie.
And big checks are being written. That pressure was increasing every single day. In fact, he was telling the truth even about Jeffrey Epstein. Listen.
So before that, what she's what the preface is that there's this story going around. It seems to be true that Netanyahu, Bibi, offered Charlie like $100 and some odd million to basically fund Turning Point, and not for nothing, to make it a far more pro-Israel platform. And then this is a clip that Candace wanted to play in that regard.
Listen.
Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who was obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, that there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part. Epstein was a LARPer. Epstein was cast for a specific role, and he played it really well. The sweatpants and the Harvard jacket. disheveled hair, looking as if he was so smart and above the clouds that he was doing advanced mathematic equations on the back of napkins. But if you actually go into some of the videos of people that met with Epstein at the time, they said he was awfully unimpressive when it came to finance and markets and economics. And it's nothing new that if you're in the intel agencies, you want to try and get as much blackmail on powerful people as possible. Easy.
Now, I remember there were two very influential people saying similar things, very similar things about Epstein, and encouraging us to not let the story die, telling us over and over. And then they got put into office. Suddenly, there's nothing to see here, folks. I find this clip pretty interesting because that is one of those things that's like, in the height of this, you're not, if you're on board, you're shutting the fuck up about all that. You know what I'm saying, Mike?
Yeah.
All right. Good
I'm sorry, I didn't have much
to
contribute to that. I'm just
Charlie
thinking,
was pretty pro-Israel. Yes,
Yeah.
he was, but it did appear that he was changing his stance. Now, I think a lot of people are trying to immediately draw that conclusion. He did have Dave Smith on that at the Turning Point event, and I watched that debate. He moderated a debate. I thought he was a great moderator too. That was probably the longest stretch I'd ever seen with him, and I thought he was really respectful and patient, and wasn't trying to put his own opinions out there, was really just trying to genuinely moderate the debate. And I thought he did fantastic. But, a lot of people who are pro-Israel were not thrilled that was being put out there, that was the case.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm trying not to draw any conclusions without evidence, but I think it's important to pay attention to that, to look into it.
Yeah. I don't. Talking about this stuff, I feel I automatically assume I have no idea what I'm talking about before the words come out of my mouth,
which is silly because you're one of the more informed people that I know.
I think I read a little bit of a lot of different things, and it gets to a point where I think that I realize that there's so much going on outside of the world of what you could read in any kind of article or see in any form of media, whether it's just some clip on Instagram or TikTok or an hour-long documentary on YouTube about some subject, where you're still not present in the, material world where the things that you are discussing are taking place. So,
well, Mike, allow me to let me introduce you to YouTube streaming. Just talk. It doesn't matter. We have the microphones, therefore we're informed. That's how this game works. It doesn't matter if it's accurate.
Okay, I like that. I like the sound of that. I'm torn between whether my opinion is that it's just an incredible coincidence that Charlie was starting to come around on Israel and allowed Tucker Carlson to speak out at his America Fest, that he platformed Dave Smith, and also Benjamin Netanyahu's reaction to Charlie's assassination is really I mean, at the least, it's very, very disrespectful. At the most, it's.
I was gonna say. I mean, look,
like
I'm
an
not
implication.
Yeah, I'm not drawing any connections there. I don't know, but it certainly looks like they're making the most of it. Like it definitely appears to me like Netanyahu is using this to his advantage. I mean, he basically I'll find the clip of it because it was disgusting. What Netanyahu said. I was genuinely disgusted by it. I was like, this is appalling what you just said.
Yeah. I mean, and he tweeted, minutes. I don't remember if it was precisely before or minutes after it was publicized that Charlie had died, Netanyahu had already announced Charlie Kirk was murdered for speaking truth and defending freedom, a lion-hearted friend of Israel. He fought the lies and stood tall for Judeo-Christian civilization, yada, yada, yada. And
yeah, I mean, yes, definitely, but it was fucking tasteless. Let's welcome Sammy Boy. Hello, Sam.
Hello,
Hey there,
Sam.
hey there, how are you guys doing tonight?
Very good, brother. Thanks for popping in, man. How you been?
Well, honestly, it's been weird, dude.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know Charlie super well, but like I said in the comments, like I met him,
Oh,
and then
well,
like I had
your
then
mic
I had
is cutting in and out, Sammy. Yeah, we're losing you. We're losing you, Sammy.
not sure why that is.
Yeah, it's just like it goes in and out. Get you like a little bit, and then it just drops for some reason.
Is this any better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
Was it connected to your
Anyway,
headphones?
though, as I was, yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, though, like I said, I didn't know Charlie super well, but like I had friends who worked for him and did know him well. So Charlie was more than just a public figure to me, and it's, it was really weird. I mean, it was horrific seeing him get shot, obviously, because I mean, no one should be executed for their opinions, but also, like, that's a guy who I knew,
Yeah.
and traveled with in similar circles. And then, for people to celebrate that too,
That's
is
got to be
just like,
particularly upsetting. I mean, especially having, like you said, no, like not like you were texting him, but you knew him as a human being, not just as a talking head on the internet.
yeah, like I would have friends who, who I would be on the phone with, and they would say things like, "Oh, I'm headed out to dinner with Charlie, and by the way, Charlie says hi," or something like that, or
Jesus, yeah.
or something like that. So, and then it's weird, like seeing all these like A-list celebrities, like who, Charlie probably never even met, or if he, or if he did, it was just in passing.
Yeah.
Like hearing Charlie Sheen on
Yeah.
Rogan's podcast, reacting like in the live time.
Yeah.
And
there were a few people that, that behaved like human beings. You know what I mean? Like it was, Chris Pratt had something to say about it. And I guess it was going around Twitter today that Jamie Lee Curtis got emotional and upset and broke down about it, and it's like, that's the right response. That's when a fucking young father gets murdered for their opinions. It is the correct response to get sad about it.
Yeah, that's, and look, I had friends who also, were let go from Turning Point, so they weren't happy with Charlie about that, and I wasn't happy with him for that either at first, but like even they were, heartbroken because at one point, Charlie was their friend and he was their boss, and they were like, man, like this is not the way this is not the way that I thought, things would go down. I think that's the other thing too, is out of all the political figures out there, no one, I think, expected this, that Charlie Kirk would be the one to get targeted. You could make the argument that like Alex Jones or even like Glenn Beck would be, more controversial, but Charlie Kirk was about as milquetoast as,
boilerplate Republican.
You and I have said more controversial things.
That's what I was
on
saying to
stream.
Vidge last night. I was like, dude, like, I've said worse. I've said far more extreme points of view than what Charlie Kirk was saying. You know what I mean? And I'm certainly not nearly as respectful as we're getting some feedback over there, Sam.
Yeah, there's a lot of feedback coming from your screen, Sam.
There's a fan on or something.
Yeah, that there is a fan on.
Okay. And I was hearing an echo too.
Okay, let me try switching. Doing this on my iPad, and
Okay. Yeah.
it's for some reason it's not letting me switch my mic very. Hopefully, this is a little bit better though.
Sounds good. Sounds good right now.
Okay.
Well, we were talking just before about the way Netanyahu basically just like opportunized this fucking death for his cause. And I got a clip here. This is all from Candace's show, but it's a Fox News clip. So let's just play this real quick.
Take a listen.
Yeah.
We're just heartbroken. Myself, my wife, my family, my son actually, on his 2019 visit to Israel, had lunch with him and his wife, Erica. We're shattered first as human beings because a great human being has been taken from us. Was an extraordinary friend. He said, he wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year. He said, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances to defend Judeo-Christian civilization.
That I'm not denying whether that happened or it didn't, but it sure sounds like what Netanyahu would have wanted him to say. Don't you feel? Doesn't that strike anyone else as odd? Be like writing someone's, like that you murdered, and you write their suicide note and be like, I just don't want to live on this world anymore. It's just like, it's all too perfect. You're like, what? That's really?
Well, but like that, I hear people, pausing that, the Messiah got right. Like my question is like, he was already he was already pretty pro.
It keeps, it's so funny. It keeps dropping words, and it's dropping Israel and Mossad. It's like
Damn.
The technology they got you, man. They got a bug in your iPad, Sam. They won't let you say those words. They're on to you, buddy.
Baby.
No, you're right. And I think like it doesn't strike me as the type of thing that would be beneficial, right? Because like I was thinking about it, I was like, well, if there's a shred of evidence that connects this, or there's some whistleblower, or this, it ever came out that was the actual reality of it, well, that's the end of any support for Israel, right? I mean, it's already waning. Like I think Dave Smith quotes this study where it's like 50% of Republicans are favorable of Israel. 50% of Republicans. I mean, it's like it's probably 10% of Democrats. So that means most
30 or 40. It's still fairly high, but
even so, even if it is 50, I'm just saying that's only half of the party that is like, that's one of their biggest things. So you've got half of that party. You got nothing on the left. People are pretty much like, and it's basically just boomers. It's basically just like older people who still like blindly support Israel. The younger people are just completely over it. They're not into it at all. So it's like, if they did that and it came out, well, that's it. It's over 100% over. The support will drop to 0. So it doesn't make sense to me that they would do it. I don't know to what end. I don't know why. But when you hear these clips, you're like, it doesn't implicate them. It doesn't make them look guilty, but it makes them look like disgusting opportunists.
Well, what's interesting too is like I know a lot of Jewish conservatives, and the Jewish conservatives, they support Israel, but they question Netanyahu and his motives, which I think is that's where I'm kind of coming from, personally. The only ones who kind of blindly support Israel that I've noticed are the evangelical Christian,
Yeah,
which is
it's like part of the religion almost.
which is interesting because you would expect more Jewish, conservatives would be pro-Israel, but like even they're starting to, not necessarily in, supporting the existence of Israel themselves, but questioning the leadership.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you don't question it, especially, I think you'd have to question if Bibi had a spotless record, but that's certainly not the case. And it seemed like just before October 7th, there was like he was on the line, on the border of getting indicted for corruption charges, which apparently Israel has a history of doing. That's not like the way that sounds in the United States. It's like they have arrested and imprisoned former prime ministers of Israel. So it wasn't like an empty thing. It wasn't like
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, like, not to bring up the JFK thing, but like supposedly Johnson was supposed to get, indicted, and then Dallas happened, and suddenly he becomes president.
Yep.
His indictments just vanish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there's that whole thing. Yeah, there's so many suspicious things and so many questionable things. But there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more here of this clip of Bibi completely using his death to promote his fucking mass genocide.
A few weeks before the tragedy yesterday, I called him and I spoke to him and I said, please come to Israel. I invited him to Israel. And sadly, that visit will not take place. But he was a defender of our common Judeo-Christian civilization. He was unbelievably excited to walk in the footsteps of Jesus here. He valued our bond, the bond between America and Israel.
And Fox News has no fucking shame either. Look at this. Look at the chyron there. Kirk, an extraordinary friend of Israel. Read that if you supported him, you support Israel. That's what we're all trying to convey here with this chyron, with putting Bibi on at all. So why don't you put on his fucking friends? Why don't you put on people that like knew him instead of like this fucking warlord?
He did so many things to defend free speech. He had his truth. He stood up for it. But
yeah, that's what the fucking country of Israel is known for, promoting free speech. That's what the ADLs, that's what they're about. That's what they love. They love when people talk shit. That's their favorite thing. Their number one value is free speech. Unless, of course, it's criticizing Israel, in which case, shut up if you know what's good for you.
He said, you can come and debate me. He invited that debate. He certainly didn't invite the violence, the horrible violence that tried to silence him. And, this is a worldwide problem. The people on the extremes, the Islamists, the radical Islamists, and their union with the ultra progressives, they often speak about human rights. They speak about free speech, but they use violence to try to take down their enemies, whether it's President Trump, who's been almost assassinated twice, or, they try to kill me here too.
They use violence. Could you imagine a country just indiscriminately using violence? That would be so deplorable if that was the case. Well, don't have to worry about that in this case, eh?
Yeah, Netanyahu loves bringing up the concept of free speech to make it appear as if it's a value that he has in common with the United States.
And it couldn't be.
He did the same thing on.
Where do you think Marco Rubio's? Sorry, but where do you think Marco Rubio's like hate speech pursuit is coming from? Where they're trying to prosecute and remove the passports of U.S. citizens for those who criticize Israel, or that disaster relief thing that was like going to be taken out, like where you wouldn't get federal disaster relief if you boycotted Israeli company. You think that's just an idea he just came up with on his own? Or maybe there was some influence. Maybe someone was in his ear pushing that forward. Who knows? There's no way to tell.
Yeah, that all seems very suspicious. Well, or even like Ron DeSantis, who I, love. He went to Israel to sign like a bill that like had to do with Florida's legislature. It's like, why? There are lots
Why?
of Jews. There are lots of Jews in Florida. Like Jerry Seinfeld even has a joke, that like
Yeah.
all the old Jews move to Florida.
Yeah. Well, I remember. I don't remember why this came up, but you know the creator Shoe on Head. Do you know her?
Yeah, I don't know. I know of her.
I think she's like kind of got some socialist values, but she's pretty based. Like she is pretty based on most social issues. I think she's just economically left, and we'll nudge her in the right direction after a while. But she was saying, like, when she said, "I'm now a single issue voter. If whoever touched that fucking wall, I'm not supporting." And I was like, fucking A, based, because it's weird. There are, was it 250 members of Congress are in Israel right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird. That is fucking weird. Do 250 members of Congress go to our other allies? Do they show up in England or Germany? Does that happen? Is that ever a thing we do? We just transport 250 members of our elected government to another country? Is that common?
Yeah, the 50 states, one Israel event is pretty strange.
Little odd. And then this guy is like, "Hey guys, just so you know, Charlie Kirk, big supporter of Israel. He loved Israel. So, with his memory goes our support."
But I mean, again though, that is true. Like,
no, it's definitely, I'm not denying whether it's true. What I'm saying is it's completely opportunistic to use the occasion of his death to promote your war.
yeah, that
It's repulsive.
yeah.
Because he's basically just putting it in the minds of the Fox News viewers that if you support, if you're sad about this and you supported what Charlie Kirk did, well, then, he supported Israel, so you should also support us. It's just like, you're a fucking piece of shit.
But they got Charlie Kirk, and it's just heartbreaking.
Good clip. Solid from BB there. Good stuff. Well, Sam, how old are you?
I'm 30, so I'm a year and a half younger than Charlie.
Jesus. Well, and Mike's a Zoomer too. He's in his late 20s. So I've noticed that the conservative Zoomers are pretty hardcore.
Well, yeah. Well, so I'm kind of like on the tail end of millennial, but I definitely reckon. Well, the thing with the Zoomers is the late stage millennials, we kind of to get bombarded with some stuff in school.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I understand, Gen Z got the brunt of it. If you even liked, biological, women, that was a thought crime.
Well, there is like they show like those graphs of the amount of people like of certain age groups who identify as something like other than straight, because now there's 10,000 different designations, but it's like it just goes up and up like the younger, and it's like that's probably a standard graph, but like it's not a standard deviation. Like the amount that the Gen Z is like so high, and it makes perfect sense because there's all this incentive to be of another gender, right? It's like, it's kind of like, what, you're just a straight man? Well, you're the villain. You're the bad guy.
Yeah, it's a trend. Like when I was in high school, there were like kids who were openly gay. Like nobody gave a crap about it. It was like, you're gay? Like, okay.
That's actually funny because there was a kid who was openly gay in my school and we gave a crap about it. We weren't mean to him or anything. We didn't fag bash him or nothing, but it was just that, like, we were kind of like, fucking fruitcake,
Right. Well, like that was the worst case scenario. Now it's like, there are big celebrations for like, whatnot.
Yeah, well, now you get
They're
straight
just
bashed. Now the guy who gets dragged behind the car is the straight white male.
yeah, now if you're like, I unapologetically love Sydney Sweeney's big tits,
Yeah, yeah.
people are looking at you sideways.
Yeah, yeah. There's like there's this joke in the South Park, when the South Park video games, where they have like all this kind of gender identity jokes and stuff like that. And like as your character develops in the video game and you like say like you're a straight, straight white man or whatever, like in your character sheet, like these rednecks come over and they're like, "Hey, we don't take kindly to straight white Christian men around here." And you go,
Yeah.
it's pretty funny. All right. Do you guys, I'm gonna wrap up at 8. So we got another 15 minutes, but there are some other clips I want to play completely unrelated, Charlie, that I just thought were hilarious. Do you guys have anything else you wanted to say about it?
I do not. I know I said a whole lot.
Yeah, you really dropped some truth bombs on
Just
us.
yapping away here.
Well, I just wanted to say, like most of all, condolences to his, to his wife. And the other thing too that is really kind of, I guess, irritating me is, all these people who are, celebrating Kirk's death are getting fired. And I'm starting to see people be like, oh, they shouldn't get fired for their jobs, criticizing Charlie. And it's like, I agree, but if you're actively celebrating his death and then saying that like more people, like Charlie should die, and you're in like the fucking medical profession.
Yeah.
Like if you're a nurse and you're celebrating, Charlie Kirk's death, sorry, but like I know who you are, because I don't want someone who wishes me ill,
Yeah, we're
in
losing you a
charge
little
of.
bit here and there, Sammy. Sorry, your mic's cutting out just a little bit. But I think you're right. I mean, it's also like if you're a public employee, like if you're employed by the government, then no fucking chance should you have a job. And if you teach kids, no. We need to know this.
Right.
Like these are ideological issues. This is not a difference of opinion. You are a blood cult, monster. Like you can't have those jobs. That just can't be. If there's
Right.
wants to continue to employ you when you say horrible things, that's one thing, but that's a government job. We get to say that. You don't get to say that. Get the fuck out of here. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. That's really my only point on that.
Yeah, I think Papa Cotton was reflecting. He's saying they should get fired. They shouldn't be arrested. This was in regards to the dumb shit that Pam Bondi was saying, which was just like, oh my God, you fucking idiot. Because that's not how that's going to be applied. But okay, we're running out of time here because I'm going to be sending this to Zach's show at 8, and I will be joining him there. So there's this one thing that happened. So the Emmys happened on Sunday. Who gives a shit, right? I mean, completely irrelevant. Like I was seeing like this actress win, and I'm like, okay, I used to be an actor. I spent 15 years of my life pursuing it. I stayed up on like what was going on in that world, and I still do. I had no idea who that was. I had never laid eyes on that woman in my life, and I was just like, I don't know who this person is. But this was such a great moment that was going around last night that I just feel it speaks for itself. So let's just watch this hilarious video.
And when was the last time a directing category had 5 women and 1 man? Now, yeah, I did not bother to look that up, but I think we all agree it was never. And this year's nominees are Helen Shaver for The Penguin, Shannon Murphy for 9 for Sex, Nicole Castle for Sirens, Jennifer Getzinger for The Penguin, Leslie Lincoln Glatter for 0 Day, and Philip Ferrantini for Adolescent. The which is kind of poetic if you think about it, because that means Philip is the winner. And you know, you know. All right, the Emmy goes to Philip Barantini.
Just made a big deal about that. When has it ever happened? When all the nominees except for one were women, and they still don't win. Oh, that's a good moment. That just brings a smile to your face.
That was uncomfortable to watch.
Why was that uncomfortable, Mike?
I haven't thought about it hard enough, but it made me uncomfortable.
Why?
I don't know. I'm gonna get back to you in 5 minutes. Check back in with me.
Okay.
I'm gonna think about it for a second.
I've never seen I've never seen any of those shows except for like one episode of The Penguin.
Penguin was pretty good. I like The Penguin. I think it gets overpraised because I think what they did was they speed ran the Joker 2 thing that happened. If you remember, like in Joker 1, everyone liked it. And then he became this sort of like anti-hero that people really responded to. And the director was like, no, you're not supposed to feel that way. So he made sure in the next movie, it was very, very clear he was the bad guy and you're not supposed to like him. And we're literally going to rape him so that you get the point gets across. And I feel like they were kind of doing that in Penguin, where they introduce you to like the sympathetic hero. And then by the end, it's like, nope, he was always really bad. And if you liked him, you were stupid. And it's like, I was watching the show as you presented it. I wasn't making up my own interpretations. Like, you made him sympathetic. I was sympathetic to him. Why did you just he was always nuts. Like, okay.
People were making.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I heard people making comparisons to The Sopranos, and I'm like, it's good, but it's not that good.
No, but it had like a similar vibe, and it was like, organized crime, like I understand the comparisons. It's not The Sopranos, but it was a really good show, like especially early on. I really responded to it, but it's, like I said, I just think it's got a little overpraised because I'm like, no, you didn't earn that. You didn't earn that villain twist. You just threw that in there, and it's like, okay, I guess you can literally write anything you want, but that doesn't mean for the honorable methods of storytelling that you earned that ending. You did not. That's how I feel about it.
Right.
And it gets so much praise. Boosh McFadden says that, Matt, I read an article after that happened. All 5 women demanded to speak to 5 different managers. That's pretty funny. Because they're all Karens is the joke there, guys. Because they're all women who didn't get their way. That's the punchline there.
I've never watched the Emmys before, and do the hosts of the show know who the winners are beforehand, or is it a surprise to everyone? Or is there some kind of rehearsal process where they go, okay, here's the winners of these categories, here's what I'm going to say leading up to announcing it, sort of thing?
I don't know about the Emmys, but I know the Oscars is a very guarded secret. No one knows. You just they do rehearse it, but not with the winner. There's like this whole accounting firm that like is in charge of the envelopes and they're the only ones who know until the big night when it's all revealed.
Mm-hmm.
The Emmys are kind of a joke though, like for not only for the reasons that like The Wire is widely considered one of the greatest shows of all time. And in 5 seasons, it only has 2 nominations, not even like awards. Literally only got 2 nominations in the final season, which was the weakest season, by the way. There was one where it got like the most TV, but it's just not a serious institution. The other thing I learned about the Emmys, Sencha Dillo says, who the fuck watches the Emmys? Fantastic question, Sencha Dillo. Good question. But the other thing I learned about the Emmys when I was living in Hollywood, because I used to do these catering events for the Emmy voters. Dude, these people were disgusting trash. To become an Emmy voter, there is almost no threshold. And these people would do these events, would basically just become an Emmy voter because they could get all this free food from all these like catered events where they would try to, convince these people to vote for whatever project. So like they would literally come to these events with like Tupperware and would like just take off the buffet and just go, they fucking filthy animals. I hated those events, but those are the people who vote. So it's not even like the Oscars. It's like, it's got to be other professionals, like it's other actors or cinematographers. Like it's still not a good award show, but at least there's some kind of threshold where these people, I mean, I you know, I don't want them cleaning up the shit in a hospital. You know what I mean? Like they're dirtbag, like
Right.
scum. Yeah. I've honestly never watched the Emmys. Then again, I'm not a fruit. That's fair. I mean, I was a fruity actor for a while, so it was something that I pretended to enjoy. I don't think I ever watched the Emmys because like the Emmys also includes like so much shit that you don't care about. The only requirement is child actor grape. I mean, these people were like homeless. They were scum of the earth. Like they weren't even like Hollywood scum. They were just like common scum. You know what I mean? But speaking of completely irrelevant things that no one watches, this also happened on Sunday night at the Emmys. To pay attention to the audience response here. Wait, did I miss the first introduction there? Hold on.
And the Emmy goes to The Late Show with
Do you see this? Did you hear that eruptive applause and everyone gets to their feet? Do you know what that award was for? Did you guys hear that?
Did you say The Late Show with Stephen Colbert?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at these people. These people are so pathetic and fake. You know why they're doing it. Mike, do you know why they're doing this? I think Sam
I do not.
Does. You do not.
I'm a little out of touch here.
So
Not a big TV guy.
Stephen Colbert, big fruitcake. Used to be really funny. When he did the Colbert Report, I thought he was great. That was a show that he did years ago that would follow The Daily Show when Jon Stewart was hosting. And he was playing like a right-wing pundit, like a Glenn Beck character or like a Sean Hannity or something like that. It was very funny. It was very tongue-in-cheek. What was
He was literally playing Bill O'Reilly. That was his character.
And it was funny. It was genuinely funny. Like he would address his audience as nation, like nation. It was really funny. And he would do stuff like, you know, and it was just good jokes. It was tongue in cheek, taking shots at the right, but it wasn't obnoxious. Like my grandmother was really conservative and she liked it. But, you know, he went and transitioned to do the Late Show, right? And did that show. And well, he got into a bit of a tiff with Donald Trump. And then there was a lawsuit with CBS, which they settled in Donald Trump's favor. And then they canceled The Late Show and Stephen Colbert doesn't have a job anymore. So this whole thing is just a performative political act.
Well,
just stick it to Trump.
well, and there's also like some conspiracy theory out there that like, you know, that the left had that the owner of Paramount is friends with like, you know, Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law. So that's why the Colbert Report was canceled. And in reality, like the Colbert Report, I mean, I guess, or the Late Show.
The Report or the Late Night?
Yeah, the late night show was only making like, they were losing money basically.
Millions. They were losing millions. It was something like $40 million to make or something like that. It was like it was only bringing in 40 million, but cost like 100 million to make. It was losing millions every day, every year.
I think you're talking about the WNBA.
Similar business model, prop up propaganda and lose lots of money. That's a very similar model. All right, it is 8:00. I am going to be wrapping this show up. Fellas, it was a joy. It's a true treat.
Thank you for having me on, Matthew. And just one final thing. I don't think people should be shot for speaking, but you should.
I think there's members of this audience who would agree. Good stuff. Sammy boy. Good to have
Thanks
you.
thanks for having me. Apologies for the audio issues, and man, I wish I was joining you under slightly better circumstance.
Yeah. You know, it was a lot of
Yeah.
people were streaming like kind of right away. And I was glad that many of them did. But I couldn't do it because I was like, I feel like I'm just exploiting this for my own gain.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Well,
did like, you know, but there were people that I was listening to and I was glad that they were talking about it. So I don't feel like it was just shallow clickbait or anything like that. But for me, I just felt like if I'm doing that, I just feel like
well,
fake.
well, I do my show on Wednesday nights anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny because like leading up to the the day, like I do my show prep in the morning, and I was like struggling to find like topic interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it happened, like one of my first thoughts, do I postpone the show, or do we go on, or what do we do? And people were like, dude, you kind of knew Charlie, so you kind of have to.
I think, yeah, I don't think like that's really all that like I said, like it's not that I think people doing it, there was anything wrong with it. It just felt
Right,
weird for
right.
me. But
It was one of the most surreal shows done in my almost 20 years of pod.
yeah. But all right. Well, Sam, you still have your channel, right? The Whitfield Report.
Yeah, and I actually started a new one on YouTube.
Oh, what's it called?
Just it's the Whitfield Report Reloaded.
Okay. Go check out Sammy Boy at the Whitfield Report Reloaded. And I'm going to send you guys over to Zach's because that's where we're going to be. That's where I'm going to be in a little while. So y'all have a fantastic friggin' night. Thank you for hanging out with me. And the boys, fellas, thanks for being on the panel.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Adios.